Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is it, the brand new Renault 5, the all-electric Renault 5, and the car everyone in Europe has been waiting for. Now this is the first in 3 new models that Renault will introduce the next couple of years that is heavily influenced by older models from Renault. This new 5 is obviously influenced by the older Renault 5 from the 70s, 80s and 90s. And next year, Renault will introduce the new Renault 4, which is heavily influenced by the older Renault 4. And a year later, in 2026, Renault will introduce the brand new Twingo, which will look very much like the Twingo from the 90s, so the first generation of the Twingo. Now in this video, I will tell you a little bit more about the new Renault 4 and the Twingo, because I was able to see those cars as well. But the main character in this video is obviously this new Renault 5. Now in this video, I'm going to tell you everything you need to know about the new 5. I'm going to tell you how fast it can charge, what the range on the car is, how the interior looks like and how the exterior looks like. And I'm going to tell you if the car is just as much fun to drive as it is to look at. "52 years after the introduction, the Sunk is back, and this time it is fully electric." Now I'm going to take the car out for a drive in just a minute, and then I will tell you a little bit more about the powertrains on this car. But first, let's have a quick look at the exterior design, because there's so much to tell on this car. Now personally, I really like the design on this car, and I'm pretty sure I'm not the only one, but do let me know in the comments what you think of this retro throwback design. Do you really like it, or do you think it's a little bit cheap going back to a design from decades ago? Anyway, the front end, you got a sloping bonnet just like on the original 5, and you got these pointy headlights just like on the original 5. And you got daylight running lights with a square design. Now the Renault logo is centered here on the hood, which I think is not a mistake but a missed opportunity, because on the Super Sunk from the 80s and the 90s, the Renault logo would be a little bit offset, and I think that would have been really cool if they would have done that on this car as well. Now probably the most quirky element on the car is the charging indicator, which is located on the bonnet. This is very well done. It says 5, and the 5 is split up in 5 bars, and every bar means 20% state of charge, meaning that if all 5 bars lit up, you got a fully charged battery pack. And if only 1 bar would light up, means you only got 20% left. And so it's very easy to see how far the battery is charged up when you're walking up to the car. Now this is not very necessary, but it looks very cool, and this is a very quirky and cool element. Now the side profile on the new 5 is almost identical to the side profile on the old school 5. So you have this pyramid shaped like silhouette here. The wheels are quite different than the wheels that you could get on the old school 5. These are 18-inch wheels, and these are the smallest wheels that you can get. Also the biggest wheels, by the way. But on the old school 5, you definitely couldn't get wheels with a size like this. Now the charge port door is located here on the left side of the car, and you can charge the car with either 80 kilowatts or 100 kilowatts, depending on which battery you go for. But I will tell you a little bit more about the available battery packs when we take the car out for a drive. First, dimensions. The car is 3 meters and 92 centimeters long, so quite a small car actually. The car is a little bit longer than the Zoe, the outgoing electric car from Renault, and this is basically the successor of the Zoe. And this car is also a little bit shorter than the Clio, which in itself isn't a very big car, meaning that this car is even smaller. And I will show you the backseat area in a minute, and then I can really tell you how small the car is. Now you got some design elements on the car here on the side. You got a 5 emblem, and you can change different designs here on the side. This is basically a sticker. The back end design is also a pretty big throwback to the old school Renault 5, because you almost got the same tail lights, the long elongated tail lights here, and you even got like a fake air vent on the side, like you would get on the Renault 5 Turbo, which was the very sporty version with the big massive flared wheel arches. Now Renault is spelled out in full here on the trunk, and you also got the number 5 here as well. Now the trunk capacity itself isn't that big. You got 326 liters of trunk capacity, which is enough for all your daily groceries, and you can even take the car out for a weekend or so, because there's plenty of space for, let's say, a suitcase and a couple of duffel bags, but that's it. So the car is a little bit shorter than the Clio, meaning the backseat area is pretty cramped. Now I am 1.80 meters, and I can barely fit here behind myself. To be honest, I'm not that comfortable here. which isn't that much of a surprise because this car is aimed at younger families with smaller kids. And for smaller kids, there's plenty of room here. You even get 3 headrests, and obviously you also get 3 seat belts as well. There are ISOFIX connections on both seats here on the bench. However, you cannot get USB ports even in this higher trim I'm driving right now, which is a little bit of a letdown, this being a small family car, because when the iPad and iPhone of your kid runs out of power, he's going to try to get your attention. It doesn't come as a surprise that the interior is also very much retro heavy. You get fabric on the dashboard, just like in the old school Renault 5, and you get this bucket-like seats also like on the old school Renault 5, the turbo version. These bucket seats are pretty unique in a car in this segment. They're not proper bucket seats, but they do offer a lot of support, which is actually quite handy because this car is actually pretty sporty, a bit more on that later. So the interior is very much retro, but also with a modern twist. So you get 2 big screens in front of you, both 10-inch. Now on the infotainment system, it runs on Google software, Android Automotive, which is basically the best infotainment system out there. And as standard, you get Google apps like Google Maps, and you also get Waze, Spotify, and a lot of other apps from the Google Play Store. And so overall, this is just a very user-friendly infotainment system. Basically just the best infotainment system out there. You still got some physical buttons here as well, so you don't have to operate the climate controls on the screen, which is really helpful. You got some physical buttons down here. You also got a screen in front of you that also runs Google Maps. If you wanted to display Google Maps in front of you, you can do that, which is also pretty unique. Now the car I'm driving today is the Techno version, which is one of the top level versions. You can also get the Iconic version, which is another top level version. This Techno version has like jeans-like material on the dashboard and also here in the seats as well. If you go for the Iconic version, you get a different color in the interior. You get a yellow color, for example, if you go for the yellow colored car, which is a pretty funky design if you ask me. You also get some jeans-like material here in the door panels in this Techno version. You can also get the Evolution version, which is basically the entry-level version. Then let's talk specifications. There are 2 battery sizes available, either 40 kilowatt hours or 52 kilowatt hours. The smaller battery pack offers a range of 300 kilometers, a little bit more. Officially it's 310, I believe. If you go for the bigger battery pack, you get a range of 410 kilometers. Now obviously these are the official LWTP figures. In reality, it will be around 50 kilometers less in summer and around 100 kilometers less in winter. So let's say either 200 or 300 real kilometers. Now today I'm driving the version with the bigger battery pack, and I started off with a range of 412 kilometers, but the car has only been driving around in the mountains. This car hasn't seen the highway today. So if you're driving a lot of highway kilometers, I'm pretty sure you will do around 300 to 350 kilometers, which is a perfectly acceptable range for a car this size. Now, like I said, fast charging, either 80 kilowatts with the smaller battery pack or 100 kilowatts with the larger battery pack. And it will take you around 30 minutes to charge from 15% up to 80% with either battery pack. Now at home you can charge up to 11 kilowatts and then it will take you a couple of hours to charge the car. Now if you go for the smaller battery pack, you get a 95 horsepower electric motor or a 120 horsepower electric motor. The car I'm driving today with the bigger battery pack has an electric motor of 150 horsepower, giving this car a 0 to 100 time of 8 seconds flat, which is again perfectly acceptable for a car this size. It's not lightning fast. This is not like a Tesla Model S Plaid, but it is plenty fast for a car this size, and it is a lot faster than any Renault Clio out there. And if this is your first electric car, and this car may well be the first electric car for a lot of people, you will probably feel like you're driving a sports car, because this car is just a lot faster than any Renault Clio out there, or Renault Twingo or Renault Megane, because this car has instant torque, electric power. That means the car is very fast off the line, especially 0 to 50 kilometers an hour. This car is just very zippy in and around town. It's just a very pleasant car to drive. Now this car has multi-link suspension in the rear, which is pretty unique for a car this size. I don't think any car in this segment has multi-link suspension. Except for the new Renault 4, which has the same setup. It has the same battery packs, the same electric motors. It doesn't have the 95 horsepower electric motor, by the way. It only has the 120 and 150 kilowatt horsepower electric motor, and it also has multi-link suspension in the rear as well. So multi-link suspension basically means that it's a pretty complicated way to make the car more stable, but also more comfortable. So that means you can drive faster while being comfortable, and that is exactly what you can do with this car. And again, it's a pretty zippy car, but also pretty stable on higher speeds. I'm driving the car here in and around Nice. I'm doing Route Napoleon, which is a very nice route in the south of France, in the neighborhood of Nice, and I can really push this car pretty hard. This car isn't made for race drivers, but if you like to have a nice handling car, a fun handling car, like a Mini, for example, like a Mini Cooper or a Mini Aceman, this is also the car for you. This car is a little bit less sporty than a Mini, but it is still a very nice handling car. Now Renault is also introducing an Alpine version of this car, or actually Alpine is introducing an Alpine version of this car, which is basically the same car as this, but it is made by Alpine. It has a different suspension setup, it has a different drivetrain, it has more horsepower, 180 or 220 horsepower. It will do 0 to 100 kilometers an hour in 6.4 seconds, and overall the car is just a lot sportier than this car. Also a little bit more expensive, because let's talk pricing. Now I only got the prices for the Dutch market, me obviously being Dutch, as you can tell by my really thick accent. Now in the Netherlands the car will start from just under 25,000 euros, and I'm pretty sure in the rest of Europe the pricing is exactly the same for the entry-level version, just shy under 25,000 euros. And then you get the Evolution version with 95 horsepower. Don't buy that car, because that car isn't able to fast charge. But you want to have the option to be able to drive a longer distance with this car. Even if you only do it once or twice a year, you want to have the option to do that, and then you just need the fast charging option. So skip the Evolution version, the entry-level Evolution version with the 95 horsepower version without the fast charging capabilities. Go for a version just above that with the 40 kilowatt hour battery pack with 300 kilometers of range with a fast charge option. That's a way better deal. In the Netherlands, the Evolution with the 40 kilowatt hour battery pack with the fast charging capabilities starts for around 28,000 euros. And if you want to have the bigger battery pack in the Netherlands with 150 horsepower, you have to pay 33,000 euros in the Netherlands. So that's it for the Renault 5. Let me know in the comments what you think of this car. Is this going to be the smash hit of 2025? I'm leaning towards yes. It's such a cool car to look at, it's such a cool car to sit at, and it's a lot of fun to drive this car. Again, let me know in the comments what you think of this video, and give the video a big thumbs up if you liked it. And if you like this kind of content, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, and then I'll see you in the next one.